Dominic, I want to ask you about Johnny Wilson because Johnny's look when he transferred in from Florida State. We all looked at the first thing we did was looked at the roster and saw his size, and okay, he's 6'7", big, strong kid. And then we looked at the numbers, and you didn't see huge numbers for him at Arizona State. And then he comes in the spring, and there were flashes here and there, but he also had some issues with some drop passes and maybe wasn't in the best shape when he came in right away in the spring. But, man, he has been the star. I think he's been the star of the camp. He's been dominant at times. I know you are out in Arizona. He was playing at Arizona State. You're familiar with him. Are you surprised when I tell you that Johnny Wilson, even though he didn't put up huge numbers at Arizona State, he might be, I don't know, man, he might be the most dominant player on that offense?
I am not surprised, not even in the slightest. I will tell you right now that if you liked Kelvin Benjamin, you will love Johnny Wilson.
It's big talk, man.
If you liked Kelvin Benjamin, you will love Johnny Wilson. He is a better version. I don't like saying that guys are better or worse, but he is an upgraded version from what I knew Kelvin Benjamin to be, which I was actually in Tallahassee coaching at Leon High School when Kelvin was there. And I spent a lot of time in the off season running routes with them, doing stuff with them, on the field. So I was able to see Kelvin up front, and then I was able to see Johnny here in Arizona, and actually spend a substantial amount of time with him. The dude is a star. He's just a star, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that he succeeded in camp. I thought he was going to go through the roof this past season at Arizona State.
Really?
I legitimately thought he was going to have an 80 or 90 catch season and be, in the running for the Biletnikoff. He's that good of a player. He has his, warts just like any player. He's not a perfect player, but the dude is going to be a college football star. And I certainly hope this is the season that it's going to happen. But I think it's overdue because I thought last year, I really thought he would bust out.
So what do you think held him back? I know Arizona State was kind of a mess last year. Would you put it all on that?
Yeah, it's a lot. Football's a very, very complex game, right? So there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of little things that go into the equation in terms of having success. And it's not always just the player. There's scheme. There's the teams that you go against and where the ball is being dictated to go to. Obviously, there's your guys up front and how they're blocking and how that results in success for yourself. If you're a guy that's a down the field guy, you got to have time to get there. There was an injury I believe he had early. I think he had a hamstring.
He did have a hamstring. I think it was a hamstring that bothered him. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a hamstring early. And then they had some quarterback. I think just watching them as closely as I watched, which I was really intently watching Arizona State last year because they had some incredibly talented pieces. Like, I'm not kidding you. Had they have stayed healthy and not had the coaching issues that they had, that team was going to be a very good team. And obviously with Johnny at the forefront of that, but even the quarterback who we're going to see obviously is the LSU quarterback now. Incredibly talented guy, but it wasn't meshing. The system wasn't meshing. It just wasn't working for him for whatever reason, whether that was mental or physical. Obviously I'm not in those rooms, so I'm not positive of what it was, but you could see it was real clunky. It was just like whatever he was calling, the quarterback and the coordinator just were not on the same page ever. I mean, at no point in time in the season did it feel like they ever got on the same page. So because of that, guys suffer. Their running back was a real talented kid too. I think he got drafted, or he at least got picked up as a free agent. So a lot of talent, and I think a couple guys got lost because of the struggles that the coach, the communication between coach and player, it didn't mesh there at Arizona State.
Well, we all hope that Dominic Robinson's thoughts on Johnny Wilson come to fruition, because then FSU's got a game breaker on its hands week to week, that when they do the game breakers or whatever the thing ESPN puts up when they kick off and they say, here are your game changers, it'd be Johnny Wilson every week that they put up on the marquee. That would be fun to see. Ira, I see your.
Yeah, I got one. I just let's keep rolling here on Johnny Wilson.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one other thing about him, Dominic, and then I'll move on to other stuff. But I was talking to our friend Kes McCorvey before preseason camp, and I was talking about Johnny Wilson, and he said, I thought coming out of the spring, like we saw the potential, and I thought where we'd really see Johnny Wilson shine would be in the red zone, maybe third downs because of that size. He said, he's like, man, he's going to be a major weapon on first down because, and basically he was just saying, I think he didn't go into all the detail, but he said he's a guy, he can get you 7 yards basically whenever, now you're 2nd and 3 all the time, as opposed to maybe 2nd and 12. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like how could he be used in ways other than, I think everybody here is 6'7" and can go up, that it's red zone.
Yeah. And that's sort of the guys like him. That's the mold that they're trying to, the sort of typecast that they're trying to break out of. It's always, you hear height and you always just go, oh, it's red zone. It's red zone. It's red zone. And these guys are now growing up and they're seeing the other receivers, other very successful receivers, and they're going, I don't want to be just a red zone guy. I don't want to just be a jump ball guy. And so they're molding their game. And that was just some of the things that I saw from Johnny at Arizona State was they were being very forward with moving him around. They were using him at all spots. He wasn't just an outside guy. He wasn't just a backside of trips guy where he was solo by himself to dictate single coverage. They were using him in the slot. They were using him as the number 3 receiver on the trip side. And so from what I understand before, this past season, in the time that I spent, was he's a guy that had been treated like a true number 1 receiver and not just a jump ball guy. So he can do multiple things. Again, he can run the whole route tree and not just be limited to fades into the boundary, into the short side of the field or in the red zone. And that's what I loved about when I first saw him play. That's what made me think, whoa, this guy's a star, because he didn't just have one tool in his bag. It wasn't just I'm tall. The dude could run. He was getting in and out of breaks. He still had some route refining to do, but for where he was, and this was his freshman year going into his sophomore year at Arizona State, for a freshman, this was a very good route runner for his size, and he is all of 6'7". That's not a program 6'7". That's not an exaggerated 6'7". He is all of it, flat foot with no shoes on. I mean, the dude is humongous, broad shoulders, and And so if he can play with some physicality, I think that was the other question mark on him. Was when you're that big, you're a big target, and so if you're not going to be physical, it's going to create some issues with you. And so if we can see those things from him, his physicality, and then if they're going to use him in the way that I believe he can be used with that sort of versatility, you're talking about a dynamic player, that can really do some special things for you.